Bob Senff has seen almost 2,000, probably more than 2,000 baseball and fastball games from a rather unique position from behind the plate as an umpire. Bob, how'd you get into this? How did you start umpiring?
Well, it was really, really interesting. I was late getting into baseball. I didn't play as a kid, but then I did play a lot of fastball and a couple of years of men's fastball, Manitoba Senior Baseball League with the Verdun Oilers. But when I sort of hung up the glove and and all that in 1980, a fellow that was the manager of the Scarth team fastball, which was what I played most of, said, "Bob, we hear you're not playing. Would you be our umpire?" And I said, "Sure." And within a short bit of time, my good friend Perry Kalanick, the late Perry Kalanick from the Verdun Oilers, I said, "Hey, Bob, we hear you're umpiring for Scarth. Would you umpire for us too?" In those days, in the Manitoba Senior Baseball League, you required, by constitution, a three-man system. And I said, "Yeah, I could do that for a while. I'm an English teacher, Ron. I'm an English teacher. To Kill a Mockingbird, my favorite novel. And guess what? In To Kill a Mockingbird, it says, in Macomb, Alabama, a while was anything from 3 days to 30 years. I umpired for a while. That's how I got into it."
You, I think like a lot of ball players probably,
Yeah.
learned by doing. Would that be fair to say?
I learned a great deal by doing, but I learned my first bit of baseball by watching the old black and white television when we got one about 1957 with the New York Yankees, Mantle Maris, Yogi Berra, Whitey Ford, and Pee Wee Reese and Dizzy Dean. And they taught me strategy and rules and all that kind of stuff because I never played minor ball. And so that's kind of where that all came about, you know what I mean? And I've kind of tried to pass that along to my kids.
I think most people would understand why a baseball umpire needs to have the most firm grasp on the rules. But you mentioned strategy.
Oh, yeah.
Why is it important that you understand that as well?
Oh, really simply, as an umpire, I learned, and I knew this from advance, that you can predict what's going to happen. Is there going to be a steal play? Is there going to be a potential double play? Is there going to be some kind of a pickoff play? And all those kind of things that kick in. Plus all the other kind of things where balls are flying out to the outfield, and you need to know that kind of, and you need to predict that kind of thing. So knowing strategy, and by the way, I had the pleasure of helping out coach all 5 of my kids. So I did know some strategy. Yeah.
And as an umpire, and as you went through your umpiring career, was that something you tried to pass on to the younger umpires who were coming up, who worked with you?
Absolutely, absolutely. I always encouraged, like we would get some pretty good young guys, and a couple of girls along the way too, that were pretty good ball players. And they said, well, like I'm playing right now, so I really can't totally commit to umpiring. I said, play as long as you can. It will make you a better umpire later because you'll know the game.
One thing that most fans see when they see umpires is, and they remember, is when the dust-up happens, when somebody's unhappy with something you've decided and dirt starts to fly and perhaps some unkind language.
Yeah.
What was your approach to that as an umpire? What did you try to do in those situations?
Well, first of all, and I'll talk about this one later tonight too, I was slow to throw. And by the way, that's a policy that I held in my classrooms. I taught high school English with mostly guys that didn't like English and didn't like school, and I was slow to throw. And so you'll get a kick out of this one. If a guy lipped off at me for something, as long as it wasn't ridiculously loud and that the dust up, as you say, my favorite line was, "Do you want to say that again?" Now it's his choice to stay in the game or not stay in the game. Now, we're talking minor ball. We're not talking to major leagues or whatever, but you know what I mean? It was his choice. So, I went sometimes, Ron, over 2 years without ever throwing somebody out of a game. That's not my job to throw somebody out of a game. But I had to if I had to. Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Only because I think you can handle it. Umpiring is under much scrutiny these days,
Always.
and there's a whole bunch of technology that's surrounding it now.
Yes.
What do you think?
Well, you know, it's really interesting. In my generation, of course, in Manitoba, we're amateur baseball. We had no instant replays and everything else. And I was a clinician for about 17 years, and I would say to the young guys, you know, when we would be practicing calling outs and safes, and man, if it was a banger and it was less than, you know, a stride or so, and the guy, you know, that's a good call. I know now they would review it and all that kind of stuff, but I want you to get the right call. Take your time. Timing was always hard. And by the way, I had a hard time with timing. Take your time, make the right call, you know. And I don't worry about it. I chuckle. I watch all the technology, as you say. I watch all the technology. And I am always watching the umpires. And instantly I make a decision in my mind. And I am very pleased to say that an awful lot of the modern reviews say, Bobby, you were right. Yeah, we were right, I think, in a lot of cases.
The players that we've talked to and that anyone around baseball talks to will always talk about their favorite games, their outstanding moments, their favorite players, their favorite coaches. From your perspective, do you have any of those?
Oh, I have a bazillion of them, obviously, and obviously now we wouldn't have time, and I won't have time tonight too either, but I mean, in the Manitoba Senior Baseball League, which was our premier league for me out in the Westman, plus the Red Point, there were marvelous players. You know, I have one that I remember fondly, and that was Mike Labossiere, and he's a part of the Hall of Fame, and he's also an executive on it, and he was a marvelous guy. He was originally from the Verdun area, the family was Verdun, but he played with Hamiota Red Sox, and he played with Canada, and he was Mr. Hustle. Man, he was the epitome of, in my opinion, of a really great catcher in AAA senior men's ball. And he did a lot of, he would give me little tips and suggestions. Bob, if you try this, it's going to make it better. Bob, if you try this, that's going to make it better. That was really helpful. But there were a lot of great guys, and there were a lot of fun things. I was just, as I was coming in, one of the cute things, and this isn't about baseball, they said, oh, our singing umpire. The 2 years that we had the Prairie League of Professional Baseball in Brandon, a couple of times, I'd knock at the door, Bob, we don't have anybody to sing the national anthems tonight. Could you sing the national anthems? That's the American national anthem because half the league was American, and the Canadian national anthem because half the league was Canadian. And I would say, sure. So they'd bring out a mic. I'd sing the American national anthem. After we took the lineups, sing the American, sing the national, give the microphone back, play ball. No, I had no fun.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
And I don't suppose that in any way you have brought this joy of the game to your family either.
Not at all.
No.
Not at all. Let me see. Oh yeah, a whole bunch of them are playing, and we have a great, and I love it. And you know what? Here's the interesting thing. An awful lot of people always, you know, their focus is we want to make a lot of money. Okay? I'm not a big guy. I've got some taller grandsons and some, you know, granddaughters that have played. But we have played, and they have had a marvelous, rewarding time for them, whether it's in provincials, nationals. We have a granddaughter last year who was in 2 national championships, so a club national championship in Surrey, and they were down in the ranking, but then she went to the University of Regina, and lo and behold, Regina played for the Canadian University Championship in up north. Anyways, they won the gold medal. She was in 2 nationals in one year. Doesn't get a lot better, does it?
Well, I can think of one thing that might be as good. You're in the Manitoba Baseball Hall of
Yes.
Fame. How does that feel for you?
It is a wonderful feeling, absolutely. By the way, and I mean, I know all the guys and all the players that deal with this, and we know when things have gone pretty well. But you don't play for the Hall of Fame. You play an I umpired for the good. For me, when it boiled down, when I stopped playing, I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't getting a Hall of Fame thing for playing. I enjoyed my game. But it was community service and service within baseball. because I did a lot of high school stuff, a lot of minor league stuff, a lot of provincials and regionals and all those kind of things for all these young people. I was able to mentor some really good guys. I'm really going to enjoy what Hank Lemoyne has to say about me today, because he was one that I just got to know, you know. And yeah, had a great time.
Member of the Manitoba Baseball Hall of Fame, Bob Senff.